welcome everybody to the Hoop Chat. The Hoop Chat. Excited about this topic right here, dog. Let's go.
I learned how to win in college.
Process, right?
Absolutely. Separate the men from the boys. It will separate the real from the fake. It will separate the committed from the uncommitted, who really loves the game and who really don't.
Your network equals your net worth. 25 years of experience.
Like, oh, man, yeah, let's get to work. Let's get to work.
Let's get to work. You heard it, man. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Hoop Chat. You know, where me, your boy Coach Nelly, and my counterpart Mar, we give you that real, all aspects of the game. You know, the Hoop Chat. The Hoop Chat is brought to you by Mars Basketball. Go to marsbasketball.com. Check out the latest merch. Check out the website to be inspired as a basketball player. Just be inspired as a person. It's also brought to you by Wayne's World. If everybody could do me a favor, go hit that like and subscribe button. Help us grow. Help the community grow. Be a part of the Hoop Chat. And
Yes,
we
sir.
back, bro. Another week.
Yes, sir.
You know what we here for. We here to pod.
Each and every week. Each and every
We
week.
here to
You know what
pod.
I'm saying?
I'm excited though, man. This is
So,
our 10th
man.
episode. Our 10th episode, bro. You know, I've been talking about this
Man.
since last week, but for me and for us, it's a milestone to get 10 episodes in. You know, baby steps to the grand picture, to bigger picture. So, man, I'm excited, man.
Right.
I'm happy. It's a blessing to be able to get on here with you. Yeah, technically it's 10. We've done so much more than just 10, but we have 10 official ones now.
Right.
So I'm excited. It's beautiful. It's a blessing. And it's an honor, man. It's an honor to do this with you, my boy, my brother, to get this info out to the masses. So episode 10.
Yeah, man, I agree. One of the things I did this week, and while I was praying, I was thinking about this, and it's just being able to take an idea and create a reality behind that idea and the power that's behind that in and of itself. So many people have these ideas and they may even speak these ideas to their friends and their family, and the reaction that they get from those people may halt that idea. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just proud of both of us that we have taken the idea and we've built upon it. Like you said, we started this on IG Live, and we were able to get the necessary information and things to continue to bring it in a way in which we can control the narrative a little bit better, and on a platform that we feel at this moment does us best because of our location. So there's been a whole lot of obstacles and adversity to putting this show together all together, and the learning process has been amazing. Working at being able to create craft content that is valuable content that is really vital and important information for players, parents, and coaches, to just help them from our perspective, what we think. And we don't always have to be right. We don't always have to be gurus, but it is our honesty and our opinion. I love the fact that you give that every time you're on here, and I do the same thing. And that's what makes me feel great about what we're doing. And man, y'all need to just like, subscribe, share, man, and just be a part of something. Because what I love about this is the growing aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? And hey, man, let's go for 100. You know, let's go the next 10. Let's go the next 10 till we get to 100, and then we'll set the next goal after that. But I'm just again really excited, blessed, and thankful to do this with you, brethren, my brother. And let's get back to the people, man. Let's give them
Before
what
we
they
start,
want.
let me give 2 quick shout outs, man. One, I want to give a shout out to, let me take this down and just show out the hoodie. My boy Pierre came and dropped the hoodie off for me, man. His brand, The Chosen Children. So I definitely told him I'd definitely be rocking this morning on the show. So super proud of that kid again. Just, you know, setting out to be successful and finding ways to make that happen for himself. and let his passion show in different ways. So shout out to Pierre. You can check them out at Chosen Children on IG, or you could look him up at The Chosen Child on IG. So shout out to Pierre. And then I have to give a shout out to one of my former players, Gavin Henry, for being named the NJAC Rookie of the Week, man. So, yeah.
Hey, let's get it.
Big shout out to Gavin, man. And, hey, for me, that's the last 2 years I've had players be named Rookie of the Week. So, just, for me, it's always been big to have my players try to be college ready and ready to go right away, so they can play as freshmen. Mm-hmm. So, big shout out to Gavin, man.
Feather in your cap, coach.
You know. Big shout out to that young man, man. Like, work ethic, he just works. He wants to get better, and he was just in a situation where he was able to step in and play as a freshman and get a lot of time. And now his hard work is showing off. So, congrats.
Keep working, young, and keep working.
Young King. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, episode 10, bro.
This episode, man, some of the things that, come to my mind is, I don't know, this week I was thinking about just greatness, right? Because they talk about LeBron and his minute restriction and, how much, not minute restriction, but the fact that he's out there crazy in his 18th season. And, you hear him talk about not being tired and not tired. It's a mental thing. I'm just basically mind fucking myself to believe that I'm not going to be tired and I'm not going to let you guys think that I'm tired. And it brings us to a bigger point of, his success, right? Like, we can condemn him in terms of, you don't win every championship that you've gotten to, but the man has gotten virtually to the championship every single year outside of his first 2 years in the league. And that is a significant accomplishment. In that, right, you got other people, because I feel like they have like this relationship of winning, right, of LeBron and Tom Brady. And you see the different tweets that have gone back and forth between LeBron and Tom Brady, and the successes that these two men have accomplished in the realm of sports, period. What do you believe, are some of the similarities between these two? Because they're just winners. They do win. Like, they may not win the way you want them to win, but they get their team to the finish line, and many times they're triumphant. So what do you think of some of the characteristics of those or similarities of those individuals in terms of a championship mindset?
I'm just brought to the word relentless. And when I think about that word relentless, I think about the book by Tim Grover, right? And he talks about, the different levels of athletes as in terms of mentally where they are. And he refers to these players as cleaners, right? And no matter what, and that word cleaner could be used to anybody that is like a Tom Brady, right? Mm-hmm. Is like a Michael Jordan, is like a Kobe Bryant, is like now LeBron James, right? Mm-hmm. Just that focus to get to that goal that they have and to get there no matter what, right? Nothing's going to stop them. Nothing's going to get in their way. And when obstacles come their way, they find a way to maneuver the obstacle to aid them to get to where they need to get to, right? It's just that I'm going to get to my goal, and no matter what, nothing's going to stop me, And I think that's something that's common in all the champions, and especially the ones I just named that have won multiple championships, right? It's no matter what, like you said, it might not be pretty, it might not be how you want it to be, but at the end of the day, I want to be considered champion, and I'm going to make that happen. Tom Brady didn't go out there and wow you with 350 yards and, 5 touchdowns, but it was, listen, I'm gonna get this chip. Let me get this chip. I don't care how it gets done. We're going to win. And what I think what's the dude's name? Oh man, defensive guy for the Bucks. He was just on he was just on Shannon Sharp's podcast. Sue. What's
Dominican Sue?
Yeah. And he was talking about Uncle Shannon asked him what did Tom Brady bring when he came to Tampa Bay, right? And the locker room vibe. And he was like, what made it so special with Tom Brady was being able to be up close and watch him work every day. And how that never wavered, how he showed up with the same mentality every single day, no matter what. If he didn't feel good, if his body was beat up and bruised from the game before, whatever the case may be, he was just in awe of how that work mindset to get better every single day, how he showed that every day, and how it started to permeate through the locker room. And guys started to say, oh, this is Tom Brady. Well, he's the GOAT. Everybody considers him the GOAT. If this is how you do it, maybe I should do this. And now you got guys starting to follow those steps or trying to, imitate, how to be great. And I think that's when guys like that are able to push on their I don't want to say beliefs, but push their how they do things onto people, onto their team. They lead by example. So I think guys like that, man, I even think I remember, and I'm going to go back to Kobe's 2 championships and his last 2. And, he went through that 7-year drought. And when he got the players that he needed to get to where he felt, or the organization felt they could win a championship, the year before they lost to Boston. And it was just that constant, like, I'm right here. I know what the end goal is. I know what I want, and I have to continue to push. And if I got to push buttons with my players, you talked about it a couple pods ago, how you like to push players' buttons to see how they react. And I think that's something that's really good with those guys like that at the top. They're able to push the buttons of players to find out if you even have what it takes to be a part of this championship mentality or this championship push, and when those guys are able to push buttons and see what you have, and I think they're able to raise you to that level. They're able to pull you up to what it means to be that champion or be that ultimate winner.
I agree, man. I want to, for the audience, I want to take an opportunity to kind of define these things in a few different ways, right? Because when we look at, winning championships, we identify that winning championships is hard. Winning consecutive championships is like impossible. And I don't think enough people get enough credit for that. But when we look at these things, let's break these things down to about 6 or 7 different aspects that generally across the board, championship winning teams, especially those that are consecutive, really practice these things. So one of those things is they never lower their standards to the physicality or to the mentally weak, especially not the lazy or uncommitted. So, if you're at that level, right, very easily it's you are exposed if you're a lazy person, or if you demand the excellence of yourself, or the moment that we can see mentally you're fragile, right? You react emotionally. That could ultimately be a detriment to the team. That's not a championship caliber individual. Now we can help mold that, but if you don't have that initially, championship teams don't necessarily have a bunch of that going on. Secondly, raising the expectations and the standards around you are welcome, right? So the criticisms that come with those who raise the bar high, right? So you identify Kobe, perfect example. I remember him being in practice and telling his team that they softed Sharman,
Right.
and this is in
Right.
practice. This is a guy 18 years into his career, solidified Hall of Famer, one of the greats of all time. And he's in a meaningless practice in some regards, regular season, very not even a midway point of the year. And he's out calling out his teammates saying, yo, y'all like, Charmin tissue paper because you soft, right? And that comes from, again, the level of expectation and raising that bar of expectation because you're wearing a certain type of jersey. You wear that Laker jersey, it's a certain level of expectation, right? And then needing players, right? As a coaching staff, right? We try to coach as hard as we can, but we also need those type of players that have an undesirable passion to win. They have to
Right.
want to win at
Right.
all costs, and they take full responsibility when those things don't work. So you never heard Tom Brady, even though Bruce Arians was criticizing him about throws and different passes that either got there or didn't get there, right? You never heard Tom Brady respond in a way in which was a detriment to the team. It was always, I got to get better. We'll reevaluate things. We'll look at film, and I got to be better than next week. And there's certain throws. So it's like he never blamed the defense, even though he don't play defense. He never blamed his offensive coordinator, never blamed his head coach, even though his head coach had a whole lot of criticisms in the media for him. And that in and of itself is very important for younger players, right? And it's very important for those other players to see like how he handled that, how he dealt with that.
Right.
Oh, man, he pivoted right out of that. He ain't even address homeboy. He act like that ain't even right. So it doesn't even become a story, which doesn't become a distraction. So limiting the distractions, right? Holding each other accountable. This is super important. You got to hold everyone accountable. That means you got to hold the trainers accountable. You got to hold the equipment manager accountable. You got to hold your coaching staff accountable. You definitely got to hold your teammates accountable in every facet. In film study, you can't sit there and be cool with your teammate not paying any attention. You got to hold them accountable. Yo, this is what we doing right now. Focus. This is where we at right now. And when again, leading by example is super important. So I think that not everybody has to be vocal in those, and I don't think that Tom was vocal in everything in which he did. I think it's just a relentless practice that eventually people are just like, "Yo, this dude is always he not faking it. Like this is
Right.
really who he is, right?"
Right.
And just being consistent.
I mean, not to cut you off, but didn't you just tell me, 4 days or 5, whatever days after the parade and winning the championship, Tom Brady's back to work. Like there's no rest, Yeah, I'll celebrate my accomplishment for a period of time, but I'm quickly right back to being what made me great and what got me here. And just to touch on your point about Arian and him, I call it poking the bear, right? Because when you got a great guy like a great on your team and you're the coach, and yeah, greats need to be coached. They're not just some great player where it's like, I'm gonna leave him alone and he's got it. No, they need to be pushed. They need to be motivated. I look at it as it's poking the bear because ultimately, what did he say? He said for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that it was Super Bowl or bust. So he set that bar from the beginning. You're coming in here, we're winning a Super Bowl, not a conference championship, not a division championship. We won a Super Bowl. In order to do that, you have to have guys at their best, mentally, physically. So it's poking that button like, yeah, you know what? Tom's throws need to be better. And he understood that we could do that with Tom, and Tom would take that in a personal manner and be like, oh, all right, I need to be better. Okay, I got you, and not making excuses, not pointing fingers, but taking the challenge, because ultimately that's how they look at it. It's a challenge, and finding a way to, be successful.
That's a fact. Another thing, and this is a huge one that I think goes over a lot of people's heads, is how they handle adversity and that's critical. Critical. Championship teams always, because every team has adversity. Injuries happen out of nowhere. You fall into a slump. Guys just, you think you're going one way and then you lose 6 games in a row, and you're like, especially in the league, it's like now you in the paper, you in the media, they don't think that you just went from being a perennial, playoff team, vying for a championship. You lose 5 games, and all of a sudden, all you can hear is, do you think they should trade such and such, and da 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 da. That's adversity, bro.
Right.
That's adversity.
Right.
Coming into practice every day, they watch, the same shows that we watch. They watch First Take. They watch Undisputed. They hear what these people are saying, and what the media is saying. Not to mention, you already got a camera in your face all the time, so you got these other reporters just going and hiking it up. You know what I mean? And just pouring gas on it, and that can really separate and destroy a team if you don't have that ability to focus through the adversity and adjust, be a shapeshifter, adjust. Certain things have to change. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's get ourselves back right. And sometimes that's where you hear about the players only meetings, right? That's where you hear like the coaches just they step back and they just kind of like, yo, y'all run this thing. You know what I'm saying? Y'all iron out differences, because there's certain things that could be going on behind the scenes that is amplifying that, adversity a little bit more. So I think it's very important that championship teams always display an ability to handle adversity and adjust to that adversity. One major thing, and this is what I've talked to a lot of young players about, because they don't understand it. Young players have no idea that on a championship team, you're going to have a role. On a losing team, it's going to be about you. On a championship team, you have a role. That means that I may have a multitude of skills, but because of a championship team, I need you to do this skill. I need you to focus on this thing. So if you shoot threes, this is what we need you to do. I don't need you. I know that you could dribble. I know that you got handle. I know you could break people down, but that's not your role for this team.
Right.
In order for this team to be successful, we need you to do this. So talking to a lot of young players when they're watching and they like, oh, he ass or he this or he that, he can't even dribble. It's like, yo, that's because that system, the reason why he getting paid $8 million or $12 million is because they know that he does this thing and they need him to do that thing exceptionally well in order for that team and that system to be successful. That doesn't mean that he can't do other things, but that just means in order for this team to be successful, he has to buy into that role, i.e., PJ Tucker. Yo, I play defense and I hang out in the corner and shoot threes. That's my role. In order for the Houston Rockets to be successful in those last couple years, the seasons, that's what he did. And he bought into that role and did it better than anybody virtually in the league for the most part. So we have to look at those things in terms of championship teams and really break down what makes them successful. And it comes down to people buying into their role. No, you got something to say about that.
Right. I mean, just touching on this championship subject, I can relate. Just having a successful college career, and winning 3 out of 4 conference titles the 4 years I was in school, winning the Northeast region 2 years in a row to get to the Elite Eight. I kind of can relate to those championship traits, being part of the championship teams and successful teams, and also understanding the different role aspects in those or for those teams, because each championship run that we made, I had a different role.
Gotcha.
The year that we were, the undefeated team in the country, and just to touch on that, the 20 years, it's crazy that I've been out of college for 20 years, but
old as hell.
Hell yeah. On Thursday, it was Wednesday or Thursday, it was the 20th year anniversary of the run that we had. And at the time, we were the only school in history to have an undefeated regular season. You know what I mean? We went 30 or 28-0, whatever it was. I don't remember. But those championship teams that I played on, everybody had a role, from the coach all the way down to the last guy on the bench. everybody had a role. And it's interesting how everybody accepted their role. And it was never a struggle. It really wasn't. It was, shout out to Steve Clifford because he was the coach before I came to Adelphi and Coach Ferry. But he started that in motion, because the team before I came in was very successful. So a lot of those guys came back and they were able to keep that mentality, keep that idea like, yo, this is how you win. And when you got older guys showing you the way and telling you, listen, this is what you got to do. This is how you do it. And then they go out and demonstrate it on a daily basis. It makes it easier for guys, or especially younger guys, coming in to say, oh, wow, he is successful because of these things that he does, and then when you see more than one guy do it, it kind of makes it easier for you to buy in, because who doesn't want to be successful, right? Nobody wants to play or participate in anything and be a failure, right? That's never the set out goal. So for me, it was easier to jump into my role and define where I fit, because I'm looking at the older guys do it. You know what I mean? And then it's like, well, listen, when the older guy is telling you like, yo, I need you to do this, you want to do that. You want to make sure you do your job to the best ability, because you don't want to let nobody down. And, it gave me, or it can give players the sense of a belonging or a feeling like, yo, this is my job. If I do my job, I'm going to help us be successful. And when everybody buys in, and then listen, when you're on a team, and we've talked about this, it doesn't matter if you're in the starting five. Like if you want to be a winner and that's your goal, to set out to win, it don't matter if you're the starting five. It don't matter if you're top 8, top 9. If you're just part of the team, right? Because the success, the winning is going to be attributed to everybody, right? So if you're a part of a team, right, you just come in and find a way to be better. If your coach says, hey, listen, I don't know how much time you're going to get, but I need you to be one of the best practice players I've ever had. I need you to be that guy in practice. I need you to be the energy. I need you to keep the spirits up in practice. I've had guys like that, you know what I mean? And just the one thing that I specifically remember, our practices used to be so intense during those runs that sometimes those practices were way harder than the games. And it was because those guys that didn't play much or, get the minutes that they wanted, bought into being, yo, we're going to come in and we're going to try to kick the first team's ass every single day. And that mentality, look, and there were days they came in and they kicked our ass. And when you got guys that are ranked listen, our point guard was player of the year. So you got guys like that on your team, right? And you're losing to the practice players. It's because the practice players understood, or those guys understood their role. My job is to come in and make the first unit better. And by doing that, I'm going to get better. And by doing that, who knows? Coach might call my name. Coach might say, hey, listen, yo, you've been doing a good job in practice. Yo, why don't you, I might need you to play an extra 2 minutes a game, defense or whatever the case may be. But it's all because of the role. And it's a beautiful thing when you have from the head to the bottom all on the same page of what their role is, and understand and be okay with their role, and understand that their role is a part of a bigger picture. And that's when championships start to happen. If you look at every championship team in the past, there's always, you could look at guys that go down the road. Look at the bull runs throughout the years. Everybody understood their role. You had MJ, you know who MJ is. You had Pip, you know what Pip do. But then you fill in. You had the Dennis Rodmans, you had the Steve Kerrs, you had the Luke Longleys of the world, the Bill Cartwrights, the Craig Hodges. Like, you had those guys that understood what they needed to do, and they were okay with that, because guess what? Ultimately, what were they doing? They were winning championships. But if you don't have a guy like Steve Kerr that doesn't buy into his role, when Mike tells him to be ready to shoot and he's pouting and he's mad and he might not hit that shot. because he's not focused on his job. He's not focused on his role, right? So no matter how big or small your role is, it is important to the gears of what make a championship team. So very, very important for you younger players to understand that. And I don't, I've heard you say it. I say it all the time. I'm sure you players out there have heard it too. Be great in your role. Be great in your role, right? Be great. You could be great at what you do. You don't have to be the guy with the dribble moves and the score. Like, be great. Be great at what you do. Like a lot of people bash Draymond because he's not the player that they want him to be. But guess what? I would take Draymond Green on my team. This dude's going out and's already had 4 or 5 games with over 15 assists, right? From the power forward position. So he's a champion. He understands his role. He's bought into that, and he wants to be great at what he does. Give him to me. He's a piece in the cog. He gets it. Go ahead, Steph. You could be the Flash, oohs and ahs, and yeah, it's cool. I'm gonna go out here and get me 19 assists. I'm gonna assist you on every bucket you get. So go ahead. You get 40. I gave you that 40. And that's just a perfect example of a guy that understands who he is, understands his role, and how he can make a team better. And he's got, 3 chips?
That's a fact. So. Yeah, that's a fact, man. I think I always talk to kids about it being a machine. So very similar to a car. You don't have the water pump doesn't want to be the engine. Even though people may buy the car because of the engine, if it don't got an adequate water pump, then it's not going to be able to cool itself off and continue to be able to perform. So it's the same exact thing, and people overlook the fact that your minute role is so important to the overall machine operating at its optimal level. And I just think if there was more emphasis placed upon that, I think kids would be able to adjust to that a lot earlier, rather than having to, be told in a way, you just don't have a winner's mentality. Because if things don't go your way, or if you're not the guy, if you're not the main person, if you don't get all the shots, or if you don't get shots that you want, your whole game, it changes, and that can't happen. But
you know what?
That move a little bit further.
I don't mean to cut you off. I see the change in that with how parents with their kids. Well, Johnny's over here and Johnny's over here getting 25 and 30 a game, and you're just as good as Johnny, and you need to be out here doing X, Y, and Z too. And the emphasis is more on, and I get it. You want your kid to be the best that they can be, but when you try to do things that you can't do, or if you try to do things that you aren't meant to do, you good?
Yo.
You can hear me?
Hello?
Having a little technical difficulties. Hello? I can hear you.
Okay, now I can hear you. My my bad, little technical difficulty. I forgot to not take my alarm went off.
That's funny.
Hold on. I gotta make sure that it don't get put on snooze. Hold on. Wow, that came out. I totally forgot that alarm was being set for that time. Hey man, change your alarms on a weekend. Don't just do one alarm all the time.
I'll be telling my wife that, like, her alarm be going off on Saturdays, and I'd be like, damn, I gotta hear this at this time. Like, it's the weekend. Like, turn that off.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And the funny thing about it is, I wake up way earlier than 8:45. It just be set because of one day during the week I needed it, to let me know that I needed to change course of what I was doing. And on there, but my bad, peoples. Go ahead, bro.
It's all good, man. But I'm just saying, you see the emphasis on like parents wanting their kids to go out and be that kid that you got to score 25, you got to get 20. Like, come on, son. Like, and it's not enough emphasis on like just listen, being a part of the team to win. And when you put your head down and work and not worry so much about how many points you have, and things start to tend to work out in your favor, right? Because you're just working to get better, working to improve. Things will work out, right? And you can have set goals for yourself, but you don't have to be so in your face where I'm trying to be the guy that scores 20. And most of the times, like being a coach and dealing with younger kids, when kids try to go out and do that, it doesn't always work out for them because, just dealing with players that they want to go out and be the guy to score 20, just don't have it in them to be the guy to score 20 on a night-to-night basis.
The moment
I mean,
the moment that you're trying to do it means that you're not built to do it. Because who are doing it, they don't go out and say, and I became a scorer, and I used to hate that. Yo, how many you gonna drop tonight? I'm trying to win, bro.
Right.
Me scoring is not about me trying to eclipse 25 or drop 30 on this team.
Right.
I'm trying to do what I need to do to win. If that results in having 5 points, you don't get it. I'm trying to win, bro. Like if I could just be a decoy and now other teams are shifting to my side, I want my knock some shots down. I'll be I'll pass. I'll be a facilitator and just play hard ass defense. Whatever I need to do to win, because ultimately I learned this very early, being in the high school that I was in. It was like teams are just like, yo, let him get his 25. Let him get his 22. That's not going to beat us. And it was a very empty feeling. Yeah, you scored 22, but yo, you look in the paper, you lost by 15. Like, yo, losing by 12 and 13. And you like, yo, like, all right, it's cool, I'm getting buckets, but that shit don't mean nothing. Like, it really don't mean nothing. And when you look at talent evaluators, like, myself, I've been a recruiter at the collegiate level. You look at that, and that's where you don't get on all-star teams. You don't get a lot of attention because everybody wants a winner. So it's like, yo, you dropped 30, but all right, let's look at your team record. Your team record is below 500. So the points that you're scoring are as a result of the fact that your team is just not a good team. That is not an indication that you will know how to transfer those skills to a team that actually wins, that may only need 1 or 2 of those things that you do. And I found that out at the collegiate level. I was like, yo, I'm gonna just continue trying to keep doing what I'm doing and get better at scoring. And you find out quickly, like, that wasn't my role my freshman year. My freshman year wasn't to score the basketball. It was facilitate offense, take sure shots. It's called sure shots. Like it was
AAU team.
It wasn't this was college, and this was, yo, look, shot selection is a premium out of the point guard position. We want our All-American being Ruben to shoot. We want Air shooting. We want, Justin Cole shooting. Lamar Wright does not shoot. When you get an opportunity to shoot, you need to be shooting what we call sure shots. Shots that we know are sure to go in. Layups, around the basket, you know what I'm saying? Get to the free throw line. Those are sure shots. Nah, ain't no pulling up. Ain't no break. Ain't no step backs. Ain't none of that.
Nah, they gonna step back on this bench.
And that's what would happen, because naturally you get into your bag and it's like, okay, cool. Well, come on over here. You know what I mean? You take that shot, you brick it, or you miss it, and they get it. You already see somebody about to crack that warm up at the scorer's table. It's like, yo, that's for you. It's coming for you. Know it too. So
but you already started looking like.
And you trying to do everything you can to extend that, like, yo, don't go out of bounds. Yo, don't foul.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, I had to learn. I had to learn what it was to be on a winning team. And I was thankful enough to be on that team that, like you said, very similarly, those successful guys who were there before me that had got to the Sweet 16, having those guys around to kind of say, yo, nah, you good, bro, but this is what coach is talking about. This is what we need you to do. This is what I need you to do, and just simple stuff. Like, you got guys talking to you about post entering the basketball, where they want the basketball, you could enter it into the post, but are you entering it into the post in a position that I know I could take advantage of my man? in that position, or am I catching it? I got to do extra work. Like I got to do extra work to get it to where I want to go. You know,
right.
And again, championship winning basketball. You know, understanding stuff. So, another one of the things that I think is a great point that you had brought up in this winning championships is hard, and I think it goes very, very unrecognized, is luck. You got to have some luck, bro. Like the Clippers being knocked off by Denver is luck, bro. Like, yo, we got it. We knew we had a formidable opponent in the Clippers, and you know, you could say whatever you want. That's for them to lose to Denver, and now you get this young team, inexperienced, don't really have guys who have gotten to that championship, gotten to the finals, have had success at that level. So this is a territory that is completely unknown for these guys. Meanwhile, you got on the other end, you got the Lakers with a guy who virtually been going to the finals since 2003. You know what I mean? And then you couple that with, you know, an AD and a Frank Vogel, a coach that's been in those types of situations, maybe not in the fight, but have been in those pressure-packed situations. Jamal Murray didn't know that. He didn't know what he was. He played out of his mind, but you get to a point where, oh, this is different now. And, you know, so you have that luck. You know what I mean? Guys stayed healthy. Look at what's happening with the Lakers now. You know, with you know, him having, you know, Achilles tendinosis. I never heard that before, but
tendinosis.
So, you know, it's like that, having that luck of, you know, even at the Brooklyn Nets, you know, it's very lucky that those individuals have come together and just been like, yo, nah, it's all good. It's gonna be, I'm gonna take this role, you take that, got this role, and we good, bro. I'm really good. Like, it ain't me just saying lip service. Now I'm being serious. Like, yo, I'm gonna handle this responsibility and you do your thing. And that's lucky and that's very rare to have individuals who are coming together in such a unique situation and saying, yo, we gonna be successful one way or another, and we gonna figure this thing out. I think that luck element is somewhat overlooked. I think Tom has gotten tremendously lucky. You look at Adam Vinatieri kicking the ball against the Raiders, and you know, snow is on the ground. It's snow like this in his face, and he kicks a 54-yard field goal. You know, that's luck, bro. That ain't just great football. You know, you got Malcolm Jenkins picking off Russell Wilson at goal line. It's like, yo, it's like that type of stuff. I mean, you could say he made a great play, but that's pretty.
He also gambled too. Like, it's like it is luck plays into championships.
You think about Eli Manning, you know, on that play, just dodging dudes. That's not even
chucking it up, and the dude caught it, and it stuck to his helmet.
Helmet, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? These are moments in sports that you gotta look at, and you gotta say, you know, yeah, I might have made a great play, but it was a lucky ass play, and it worked out for you. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than be good, you know, depending on the situation. So I think, you know, as we illustrated and broke down some of those characteristics, I think you should start to, if you're a player, if you're a coach, you know, even if you're a parent and you're thinking about sending your kid to this AAU program or to this school, because I know a lot of parents want to send their kid to this particular school, make sure that you understand that these schools have these kind of characteristics around them that can ultimately help your kid become successful. And understand that your kid is going to have to wait his turn if he's playing on a successful team. He's not going to come right in and the ball's going to be in his hands. He's going to get 30 shots. He's going to have to figure that out through his role. And as he continues, his role will grow. Like you said, from year to year, your role grew, right? It's like, yo, we need you to do a little bit more, Wayne. You can't just hang out and just catch now, because we don't have the players that we had around you where that's what we needed. Now we need you to be able to, you know what, yo? I know you like being on that perimeter, but I'm going to need you to post up a little bit because you got a nice body. Yo, so in the summertime, I'm going to need you to be working on some post moves. You like, bro, I never work on no post moves, but I'm going to expand your role because we need it. And now you understand the importance of those things. The versatility that you have and your ability to be able to go inside, outside just helps your team that much more. And it puts more of a demand on you. But what have we talked about? Raising expectations, right? Raising the level of demand on the players around you and the people around you. Holding yourself accountable in order to make it to that next level. and sustain that greatness. So,
and real quick, just to touch on that. So my senior year, my 3 years prior had coach of the year, national coach of the year, played with the national player of the year, and then my senior and a bunch of other great talents, guys that scored 1,000, and in those 3 years that Coach Ferry was there, I mean, he only lost 10 games. Like it's just amazing to me that in 3 years we lost 10 games, and then going into my senior year, it's all freshmen and 2 seniors, and it's me and the kid that I came in with, and one other kid that transferred in, and then that's it. Everybody else is freshmen. Babies. And you look up and you're like, this ain't what we had before. You know what I mean? And coach comes to me, right? Coach Cosgrove, the new coach, and says, hey, listen, our big man had just broke his foot. He was going to be done for the year, or at least done to the end of the year. I need you to play the 4. And I'm looking at him like, the 4? Like, bro, I'm a 2. I play the wing. But I play the wing. I might play the 3, but you want to play me the 4? And just how he said it to me, it was just like, yo, I'm sorry, but I need you to do this. Like, I don't have no other way. And I can't figure out how to move the pieces any other way for us to be successful. Like, you have to play the 4. Right. And it was something that I've never done before. I mean, this means I would have to guard 4s. You know what I mean? But I just never complained. I bought into what coach was asking me to do, how to guard people, and it made me expand my game as in terms of being able to be more vocal on the defensive end from the position I was in, because the way we were playing, it kind of did require and rely on the help. And, I had to learn to be I had to learn how to effective communicate way better, because I had to make guys understand that, yo, I'm on top side. You better be on that help side, bro. Like, I need your help. Like, you have to be there. And it helped me to communicate better to my teammates and just move pieces. You know what I mean? And specifically talk to guys. So, but I bought into the role. And ultimately, that was one of the years that we were able to win the conference title, with 2 seniors, a junior, and the rest freshmen. It's just, buying into the role that coach had asked me. And it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because at the end of the day, the 4s couldn't guard me on the other end. So it was kind of, it balanced itself out. So it just bought into the role, you know what I mean? And ultimately it led to a championship, and one that we had won on post floor. You know what I mean? So
that actually made me decide to go to post, actually.
Word.
I was like, I don't want to be with them. I want to beat them.
Word.
And I felt like at the same time, people would be like, oh, that's his boy from back home. And then I got to live up to
right.
That's like, I ain't trying to do that. Let me go over here. Let me go to Duke. He went to North Carolina. Let me go to Duke. And we saw that. The first game y'all got us my freshman year. After that, it was like, come on over here to this Pratt and get right back up on that highway. Go take your ass back over there to Garden City.
I'm off exit 34. Go home.
this hot L. But that was that. I really enjoyed, that level of competitiveness between the 2 schools and what we was able to draw from that. So I wanted to jump into our segment, man, our buy or sell segment. This is an important segment, man, because as we said, a couple episodes ago, which we want you guys to go back and take a look at that. We do this segment of buy or sell. Basically, what we're doing here is we're looking at players from each position, and at the current moment or throughout the season, we're going to pick them like stocks. We're either going to buy them, we're going to sell them, and we're going to give you the information based upon why we buy or sell. So we know that the All-Star weekend is coming. They just released out everybody who's going to be on the All-Star teams, East and West, the starters, as well as the reserves. And when that happens, there's always snubs, people left off the list that for whatever reason They're not being placed on the All-Star list, or they may even be in reserve capacity to some extent. We saw that with Damian Lillard. Somebody had got hurt. He got called up. Then we saw last year with Devin Booker. Somebody got hurt. He gets called up. So we hear, man, who are your All-Star snubs? And are you buying or are you selling those individuals?
All right, I'm going to take the guy in the East.
Okay.
So just to give y'all a quick rundown of who's on the East team is Giannis, Brad Beal, Embiid, Kyrie, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Ben Simmons, Julius Randle, Vucevic, and KD. So we all know KD's hurt right now with that hamstring. So the reserve player for KD is Sabonis. And how in the hell is he a reserve player? He is getting snubbed. That's a snub to me, because if I'm him, it's like, I don't want to be the reserve guy. You're going to call on me because one of the main guys is out? Like, he is the first guy in NBA history to average 20, 10, and 5 and not make an All-Star team. He's not one of the guys that they said, like, yo, we want you to be the All-Star. You know, in my opinion, get Julius Randle out of here. Get him out of here.
And you could take Vucevic too, because you're not winning. You're not winning. There has to be a of winning. We just talked about that, right?
Right.
Your numbers look great, but your team is in mud. Like, you're not going nowhere.
Right. And every bad team's gonna have a good player. Like, you're gonna, you know what I mean? Like, and I agree with you. Like, you could get Randall out of here, get Vucevic out of here, and it's like, yo, Sabonis is balling. Like, he is holding the Pacers together. I get it. It's not flashy. He's not going to go out here and wow you. He puts his hard hat on and he goes to work every day, and that's it. But the crazy thing about it is he can score from every level on the floor. He could shoot the basketball. He can penetrate. He can post. He's a great passer out of the post. I mean, this dude is, in my eyes, like, he's something special because of how he plays. You know what I mean? And yeah, look who his dad is. He's got arguably one of the, or if not the greatest, they say the greatest European player of all time, you know, of how special his dad was. And he's just a dude that comes from a great college program and was able to transfer how he played at the college level right to the NBA. And he's young too. You know what I mean? And it's just like, yo, how isn't this guy an all-star? The Pacers are one of the better teams in the East. They're winning. They're going to make the playoffs. And you're going to put a guy like, you know, Julius Randle, whose team is at the bottom of the East, Orlando Magic at the bottom of the East. They're not winning. So what? You know what? I go with a team. Look, when I was overseas and I played for Angra Basket, we never, if we ever made the playoffs, it'd be the last seed. It'd be the last seed. We'd never be one of the better teams in the league. And you know what? And on those teams, I averaged like 30, 28, 30. But we was losing. And then it's like, yo, why I ain't getting recognized? Or why nobody care, you losing. You know what I mean? So every bad team's going to have that guy that can put points up. But I think the All-Star, I think the All-Star voting should change of how they do it. It's more of a popularity contest at this point, you know. So, but Sabonis, man, you deserve to be an All-Star. You know, you ain't no reserve in my book. You know, you should have been over Randall. You should have been over Vucevic. You know, they should have been asked, hey, listen, do you want to take the reserve spot? Like, it should have been the opposite way. So they definitely snubbed my man. They clipped my man. Sabonis need to be an All-Star.
I think I agree with you with that being a huge snub. I think that him playing at Indiana market, not getting a lot of TV time, a lot of people didn't get to see him play as much. Also, I think that personality has something to do with it. I think because Kawhi has gotten an opportunity to play with the San Antonio Spurs, and we've seen that run with Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan. They were playing a lot of games on TV. People got familiar with Kawhi's ability to play the game, and they were okay with his quiet, you know, personality, right? And then we see him win championships, you know, win a championship with Toronto, win a championship, obviously, with the San Antonio Spurs. So it developed a bit of familiarity across fans of basketball. I just don't think that he's gotten enough of that light being in that Indiana market. I also think that and this is not a character flaw or anything. I don't know him, but I just don't. He doesn't have that personality that the cameras are being driven to
Right.
want to hear what he has to say, and that's fine. You don't have to be that guy because
Right.
evaluators of who on the All-Star team should be looking at the fact that exactly what you said: 20, 10, and 5. Right, your ability to grow. Right, you come into the league and you're a rebounder, right? Offensive rebounder for the most part, defensive rebounder, defender. You get yours where you can to actually having an offense be run through you. That's growth.
Right.
There. And that also shows you that you're a star. He may not be a superstar, but there's only 5 superstars in the league. So
Right.
be a star is not a knock. What it's saying is you've developed a game where as a franchise is deciding, coach is deciding to run his offense through you because
Right.
you are the catalyst to us being successful. So I think that those things need to be taken into consideration when evaluating whether or not a person should be on the all-star team, not a reserve, right? So I'm gonna take the opposite side. So I'm gonna go on the west side of things. And man, look, I've been championing this dude for a long time. I've been a big time fan of this dude. Been talking about this dude for a long time. As far as just his ability, when you look at where he came from in this and what he's currently doing and the growth and the maturation of an actual star. Man, come on, man. D Book need to be an all-star. I'm tired of seeing my man be a reserve. I'm tired of seeing my man get played out all the time. And I understand that the West is deep. I understand that it's a very star-laden, side of basketball. However, and this is where I'm gonna kind of, I don't think that it's his fault. I don't think that it's Chris Paul's fault because people recognize his greatness. But I also think that it's at some point in time when I'm playing with a guy, if I'm playing with you, I've been to the All-Star game 12 times already out of my 14, 15 years in the league, right?
Right.
And well, I'm looking at each and every day in practice, and I'm like, yo, bro, you are great. Like, you are.
Right.
I'm going to say, especially when I'm head of the Players Association, yo, look, bro, give my man some shine. I know y'all may want me to be there because fans are familiar with CP3. Fans are familiar with LeBron. Fans are familiar with these different faces. And I believe the NBA kind of puts them out there to draw even more people in instead of saying, yo, look, there's some other people who are going to carry this league. LeBron and CP3, they ain't got much longer to carry the league. So
Right.
give these other young guys who actually are deserving. He held down the franchise of Phoenix for a long time. He's the reason why people bought tickets. He was the reason why people would even watch. He's the reason why, a lot of players now are like, oh, damn, I didn't know D-Book was like that. But you don't realize, real recognize real. So when a dude like Kobe recognize the killer that you got and puts you under his wing, there's a reason why that happens. There's a reason why guys like Jason Tatum are close with Kobe, because he recognizes the talent level within them. He recognizes the stardom in them. He recognizes their work ethic and the reason that they may not necessarily be there at that level, maybe one or two things. And I think for D Book, it's finally his time, bro. Like, he's one of the top 20 players in the league, bro. I'm sorry. Like, he should be.
I think he's top 10 players in the league.
Well, if he top 10, in my book works a little bit differently. He's definitely top 10, but in basketball, you can't tell me that there's 20 other players that are better than him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're looking at right now. And again, personality-wise, he's not the type of person who's polarizing in post-game conferences or meetings, whatever. He's not the guy who's going to run out here. You don't hear him in salacious tabloid TMZ type stuff. You don't really hear nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He just come out, kick your ass, and he go back in, wherever he is and just chilling. And I like that about him. And I'm tired of the NBA expecting and the media expecting for these guys to have this polarizing personality in order to elevate them into their stardom. One of the things that I've noticed even with Kyrie is like when he says less talking to the media, it's because of the fact that like, yo, you want me to be something. And when I'm not that something,
Right.
then you condemn me for not being that. I'm not gonna be LeBron, bro. I'm not gonna always say the right thing on time all the time. I'm gonna say what I feel, and sometimes I think that there's players who are just very quiet. They just quiet dudes. I don't want to do all of that stuff, and
Right.
I feel like the media, and those pundits who are on these different shows when it comes to all-stars and voting and that type of stuff, I think that they hold that against these players. Oh, we don't really know him. We don't really feel like, and the fans don't really know him. All right, so give him a platform.
Right.
Give him a platform and get to know him, because this dude is deserving, man. And this is second year in a row where, he gets in because somebody gets injured. He
Gets
didn't
hurt. Right.
You could tell he didn't want that. It's like, yo,
No,
I
wouldn't want it either.
want
I'm looking at the list that he should be over. I'm sorry. Like you said, CP is one of them. Get Rudy Gobert out of here. And I think he's better than Donovan Mitchell.
And I think he's better than Zion too.
Yeah.
That's just box.
That's just
off his names.
Look, you could take PG off there for me.
I'm not mad at that, bro. I'm not mad at that. The reason why I'm not mad at that is because, we've seen PG have great regular seasons, but in the postseason, if you an all-star, your play should be consistent and it should elevate when you get to the postseason. It doesn't.
Right.
So how you an all-star, bro? Until
you know what Shannon Sharp call them, playoff PEE.
When I look at someone like Zion, again, box office stuff, they want to put butts in the seat. They want people to watch. So yes, Zion, if you're an all-star, hey, would you do the dunk contest? You know what I'm saying? So that, again, people watch and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm not trying to take nothing away from Zion. I think that he's a 2.0 version of Charles Barkley. He doesn't shoot the ball well enough like Charles Barkley does. He doesn't pass the basketball or make his teammates better like Charles Barkley did. But he's young. He'll grow. But I think that what we see from him is, if you're going to tell me that he's shooting this 70-something%, it's layups and dunks. It's layups and dunks, bro. Like, you shouldn't miss that. Looking the way you look, you shouldn't miss layups or dunks ever. You know what I'm saying? So I would take him off my list. You brought up PG. I can't take Donovan off because Donovan he just signed a max contract, and his team has got the best record in the league. So you can't take away from that guy being on the list when you compare him to a D Book, when it's like, I've literally come in and be a franchise guy off the rip, and we've had deep playoff experience that you have yet to have. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that he could and should be on that list. But again, we could argue that down.
I'm gonna give you the flip side to that, and I agree with that. But here's a guy with D Book, and just fighting, the case for D Book. Here's a dude who didn't have Chris Paul last year, and they were told to go in the bubble, and for them to make the playoffs, what they had to do, win all 8 games, and they won every game, and then it came down to somebody else winning or losing. And it's like, when's the last time Phoenix been even in the picture for the playoffs? What, since Dan Marley in them? Charles Barkley,
KJ, Kevin,
KJ, like Danny Manning. So it's like, for me, and I'm a D Book fan too. And last year for me was like, he should have been an all-star. He got snubbed. And then he came out and showed everybody why in the bubble, right? Hitting game winners over jokers.
Game winner.
Right? Over 2 dudes that are on this list.
Right.
And to go into a situation for me and be like, you got to win all 8 games just to have a chance to make it and go out and do it was special. But then turn around and now they're the fourth team in the West. And I know the makeup of the team's different. Adding CP is a big, big plus for them. That leadership, his greatness, helps orchestrate that team. But man, listen, I like Donovan Mitchell, but I'm just like, man, it's like you can find guys on the list that he's on the level of or better than that he should have been on that list, not to say, hey, D Book, you want to come in place of, Anthony Davis because he got injured.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I'm them, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna take this week off and rest my body up, and I'm coming to destroy the rest of y'all for the rest of this second half of the season.
Word.
You know. So I definitely think they need to change the All-Star voting, and make it. I don't know how they do that. It's like I said, it's popularity.
Get people like Jason McIntyre off of voting. Get people like Nick Wright. You gotta get him out of here because they come in with these crazy biases to these guys, and it's just like, I mean, I hated Undisputed this week with Jason McIntyre on there, and I don't know why.
Bro.
I don't know why you have
terrible.
Like LeVar Arrington
terrible
basketball.
Yo, he said something too, and I meant to hit you. I wanted to talk about it on the show because it was the worst comparison that I've ever heard to talk about that anybody's ever said about basketball. It made no sense at all. And the other guys you could tell, like when he was talking, like they were looking like, yo, what the hell he talking about? Like, I don't even got nothing to say to that. Like, let's just not say anything and just get this subject over with because he don't know what the hell he talking about.
Yo, Chris was about to pull his hair out. Him and Rick Bucher was about to pull their hair out when he said that he'll be surprised if KD, James Harden, and Kyrie play 8 more games before going to the playoffs. Chris Broussard was like, "What? We're not at the halfway point. Typically, you're at the halfway point or past the halfway point when you go into the All-Star break. They're not even there yet. And you're trying to tell me with more than half the season left after the All-Star break that during the regular season, we're only going to see that big 3 play 8 times before they go into the playoffs. And it was just like, what are you talking about, bro?
He's terrible, bro.
You're just saying sensationalize, you know what I mean? And just be a shock jock. So
I was like, man, get me Amar on there. We'll give you some conversation. Like, come on, man.
Some real talk.
Word up. Terrible.
With the high school season coming to an end, some of the college season for college players are coming to the end. This is a point that we wanted to make sure that we talk about because I feel like it's really important. So today's player point is self-evaluation or self-reflection. As players, it's very important as you conclude the season before rolling in, especially a high school player, before rolling into AAU in the spring season and the summer seasons, take the opportunity and the time to sit down before you even speak to your coach and start assessing and reflecting on your year in its totality. What things did I do well? Was I good at shooting the basketball? Was I good at finishing around the rim? Did I increase my free throw percentage? Was I good in terms of my assist to turnover ratio, offensive, defensive rebounding, steals? We really want to look at those things, and then we want to look at where it was that we came up short. And we really want to be honest with ourselves, right? So one of the things that I think is very important for players is to really be your worst critic before you allow someone else. So you will really be able to tell who actually has your best interest at heart when it comes to a coach.
Right.
When you can actually have that self-reflection and honesty within yourself, and then you hear somebody repeat basically what it is that you've already thought, affirming your thoughts in terms of self-reflection, but you're also on the same page as someone else,
Right.
So I think that it's really important that players really take the opportunity as the season comes to a close and do a tough, hard, real reflection and evaluation on themselves before moving into spring season, AAU season, even working with your trainer. Because I think that that's really important as well, is that dialogue and communication between player and trainer to say, hey, look, I know we worked a lot going into the season on X, Y, and Z, but coming out of the season, these are some of the things that I feel like I really want to focus in on to really round out my game and add other dimensions to my game to make myself a more dynamic and more complete player.
Right. And, the best way or the best thing about the times that we live in is technology. So you have the ability to, click a button and be right into game film.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I want to start doing, I know as a coach moving forward, in my next endeavor is I want to break down film for every returning player that I know that is going to have an impact in my program, and just showing them the areas they could get better at, so helping them and pushing them on the way. But you're right, like you need to go back and watch and not watch the highlights, right? You gotta really be mentally ready to look at the bad and the things that you need to get better at. And no matter how bad it looks on film, or no matter like how you think it looks to other people, like you said, self-reflection, man, like that's how you improve. Forget the things that you could do well. You do them well. You no need to go look back and be in awe of the things that you do well. You need to look back and be like, damn, I need to really work on that.
Right.
And those are the things you need to focus on, and that's all aspects of your game. And when you have the ability as a player to go to somebody like a trainer and say, hey, listen, I need to work specifically on these things to be better for my team, it will help you a lot, because now you guys can map out a plan, and you're on the same page. Instead of coming to a trainer, especially someone new maybe, or maybe even to someone like you've been for a while, and just say, fix me. There's no fix me to it. It's got to be a plan mapped out. So if you can get on that same page, and the only thing you're going to see from this is growth as a player. And just think about it. If you're going back to watch film, you're going to get better at other things too, like film watching, picking up things on offense, on defense, positioning, better shot selection, and it all plays into the bigger picture and, grand scheme of things in your game, and ultimately hoping you to be a winner. So, I mean, I think that's great. I think all players, and more so serious basketball players, we should say, people that are looking to, possibly play at the next level, whatever that level is for you, to really evaluate yourself. When you can start being honest with yourself about your basketball game and what you can't do, there's going to be a lot of more what you can do.
Right. I mean, I think that's excellent points, man. I think what's really important too, when you do this evaluation and sit down with your coach, I think one of the things that you talked about is, with the trainer and talking to your trainer, and if it's somebody who you've dealt with in the past or maybe someone new. I know for me personally, it's important for, myself as well as my player to have that dialogue, but what can't be absent is what coach actually wants from you. So it's very important to talk to coach and say, hey, listen, I've done my own evaluation on myself. Now we're having this collectively. What are the things that you're expecting or need from me? And now we can now package that up, bring it to the trainer, and now we can be working on those things so that your coach can see improvement in those areas, knowing that you're working on those things. There's nothing worse than players that come or parents that reach out and they say, he just has to work on shooting. Well, maybe your coach doesn't need you to be a shooter. Right. Maybe your coach needs you to be better at your post up, or maybe need you to be better at simply finishing layups,
or need you to be a different type of shooter than what you have in your mind.
Exactly. Because in your mind, you think you're going to be Steph Curry, and I don't need you to do that, So, and again, for me, I hate unpurposeful workouts where we're just doing a bunch of drills. That's not me. I want everything to be purposeful. Where are we going? Why are we doing what we're doing? And you guys as players help us as trainers, particularly myself, create that program or that design to get you to your ultimate goal. Otherwise, it's just, what I see often is kids coming in, working with trainers, and they're just doing a bunch of redundant drills that aren't necessarily facilitating the development and your skill set as to what your coach may need for your team and your program. And you could wind up basically being a hamster in the wheel. You've worked all summer, you work through the fall, then you come back the next year and you're virtually in the same position as you were. It's probably because certain questions didn't get answered, or certain questions didn't even get asked. And that's a major detriment, and that's a step backwards. And again, again, this is for serious players. This is for players who are looking to play at the next level. These are players who are looking to play at whatever level that may be, Division 3, 2, 1, doesn't matter, because you're still going to see film in college. I don't care if you play for a JUCO. I don't care if you go to Division 3. That coach is still watching film. That coach is still going to be breaking you down, that, you know, and wanting you to develop certain areas of your game so that you can be a more effective and competitive or complete player, you know?
Right. No, absolutely. And just to tie everything in, what we talked about on this pod today is when you're a player and you do things like this and you're having that communication with your coach and you guys are on the same page, this starts to equal winning. This starts to build culture. Now you understand, you guys are able to have that open line of communication. You know, now your coach can tell you, yo, this is what I need from you. You can ask your coach questions. You can even ask coach to expand your role because that open line of communication is there. But now you're all on the same page, and this creates a winning culture. And if it's more than one player doing this, and you got a group of you guys, then you start talking about winning championships. You start winning big games this way because you guys are on the same page. Self-reflection happened throughout the team, and now, you know, you guys are growing together and learning how to, you know, be winning, to be in a winning culture.
So speak to that as a coach, man, because, you know, I don't have as extensive coaching resume as you have in terms of working with, you know, an actual group where it's like I had freshmen, sophomores, juniors. I've moved on. I've had a new crop of people come in. What does that do for you as a coach if you get 2 or 3 players that are like, you know, coach, I want to improve on X, Y, and Z, or I think I need to, or even ask you those questions? What do you feel in response as a coach?
I mean, one, it's just, it's reassuring when it's just like, this is one of the reasons why I do this. You know what I mean? When you got players that are bought in to that extent. But usually when you have 2 or 3 players, especially in one group that do that, you're going to find yourself to have some type of success, because at the high school level, that's enough to have it, you know, penetrate through the team. At least they'll be able to steer the ship a little bit. You know what I mean? But for me too, personally, it's just like, because of the player that I was, I love it. I love that aspect of the game of wanting to get better. Like, and now being in a position where I can provide that knowledge to that player. You know, this is what you need to do to take those steps. And I could speak from experience and give you little, you know, pointers on things of how I used to do things, or, you know, things I've experienced or done that I know that work that could help and aid you. And look, the result is you get kids like Gavin, who are player of the week as a freshman, kids like Pierre, you know, Bobby, Sid. You get those type of kids that were gym rats, always wanted to be better. They were a part of successful teams, and now they are, you know, experiencing successful college careers. That's what it is right there. That's, to me, is the most rewarding thing as a coach, because those are the kids that took basketball serious and wanted to use it to aid them at the next level and take the next steps. And that's exactly what they're all doing. And they all were the ones, yo, coach, the late night text like, yo, what do I need to do? Yo, coach, like, I know I played bad. Like, what do you think? You know, those are and look at it. And that's the separation for players. Like, you know, it don't have to be you got the D1 kids. Like, it's these kids want to play at the next level, and your job is to try to aid them to get there. You can have some type of idea of what level, but it's not your job to dictate that. That will take care of itself by their skill, by their talent. Your job is actually to help put them in the best position as possible. So if you could squeeze a kid in somewhere that aids him and his family, then so be it, you know. But your job is to those kids that want that, as a coach, it's your job to provide them with some type of outlet, even if you don't know, to push them to the right, you know, right outlet. You know, if I'm a coach and maybe I'm an older coach and, you know, it's just not in me to get out and do X, Y, and Z with my kids. But hey, listen, I know a great trainer, Lamar Wright, you need to go check him out. Or I know a great trainer, or
you know what I mean? Push them in the right direction where you know that they're going to get the best available training and knowledge from the next individual. But just, that's what you do. That's the culture, bro. That's the winning culture. Like for me, that's why I have a brotherhood. That's why I've created that with those kids, because, it is a brotherhood. I'm a college athlete. I was a college athlete. I could look to the right of the kids I grew up with that said they wanted to do that, and they not. And I could look at kids to the left that started as that but never finished it.
Right.
So, it's that bond, that we'll always be able to have. So, that's something that we share as well. So, it's something that we get and understand. We understand the path. We understand what it takes. We understand what's going to happen when you're going to get there, the type of obstacles you're going to, go through and things like that. So giving that knowledge back, man, that's what it's about.
Well, I know for me, just kind of to ask the same type of question for me as a trainer, it helps me watch things a little bit differently. I keep you in mind. I'm constantly watching basketball across the spectrum. So, for players to reach out to me about certain things, that they may need to improve on, or they want to know, or they want to understand this or that, what it does for me is it helps me keep you in mind when I'm watching games, because I don't mind. I always do it just even for myself. I'll stop a game, run it back, take a look at what they did, what they may have done to maybe it's an isolation situation. Maybe it's a breakdown of a pick and roll, and by me just being the type of person that I am, where I'll stop a game, run it back and watch it. Now with that player that's in my ear, like, yo, coach, now it's like, okay, now look, let me clip this up. I'm going to take this right here. Boom, I'm going to shoot you this. So now I'm going to give you context, the auditory component of me just talking to you about it. And then I'm going to shoot you that video of the visuals so that now you can piece both together. And now it can make you a better player in terms of providing that insight and understanding. I believe that's my job. The game of basketball is bigger than me. I'm not a guru, not reinventing the wheel. I don't think that I'm more special than the next guy. I don't come up with all these different terminologies for, dribble moves and all of this stuff. What I do is I look at the game and I call it how I see it. And I know I have a good finger on the pulse of the game of basketball. I have that knowledge and know-how. And guess what? At the end of the day, for both of us, I can speak to it. We love the game so much, but more so than that, just being in a position of paying that forward, being able to give my experience, my knowledge,
pushing the game forward. Yeah,
exactly. And pushing the game forward and giving it to somebody else to pick the ball up and take it to the next level. For me is ultimately the ultimate goal and reward, so to have a player meet that, to have a player meet me on their work ethic in terms of the physicality component, and then meet me what they have between their ears, the desire to learn and the curiosity, those are the things that bring me back to what I fell in love with the game for in the first place. Because it just reminds me of me. When I was younger, I wanted to know all of these things. You know what I mean? And obviously I wasn't perfect. I had my own ego. I had my pride. We've talked about that on previous episodes about how I had to be humble. But now I'm in a position of being able to give that to a younger player a little bit earlier. And it's okay to deal with that. It's okay to deal with failure. It's okay to, really put your all into something and it doesn't work out. That's just life. That's how it works. But the best part about basketball is you have another opportunity. Right. And it's what you do in response that's going to dictate where you end up as a player. So you and I both know of many players who've had I'm going to drop 20 and, the losing mentality. As long as I get 20. And we've also seen those careers be very short. Right. And much like you looking to the right and looking to the left and being in the middle, me being in the middle is I'm learning from the guys who are winning, the guys who every time you bring up something, basketball wise, their names are on the tips of people's tongue. Why is that? You know what I'm saying? And then you look at this other person, and when you put two player profiles together, it's like, well, when you look at the numbers, this kid over here may be scoring more, maybe, getting crazy buckets. And this other guy is not necessarily getting crazy buckets. But then when you put the records next to each other and you like, oh, this dude was 3-21 and this dude is 18-2, it's like, that's why people keep talking about him, because he has this winning mentality, this winning, persona about him. Now I want to study what makes him a winner now. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's always important, man. I just literally just had this conversation for parents. Put your kid in a situation where they have adversity and they have to be challenged. Don't sit up here and think because your kid's going to a certain school that they need to get all these shots. No, make the most of the shots you're getting and your role will expand. Right? And that's kind of where we're at with things when it comes to this player point of just understanding where you are at that point in time. You could listen to earlier of us talk about, his journey, Wayne in particular, and his journey and learning how I had to come in, become a better defender just to get on the court. And then from that point, I'm going from a 2 to a 3 to the 4. And my role and the expectation expanded, but what stayed constant? Winning. Winning stayed constant. Winning remained first, and that's a great model to really listen to as young players and say, shit, man, like I need to be thankful where I am, and I need to improve, but I know that if I'm taking this information from people who have done it before, I'm on the right track as long as I keep my mind right on winning. And focusing on the winning components.
Right. And, just to touch that real quick and wrap things up, man, from a coaching standpoint, and just from a career standpoint, I was truly blessed to have the path that I had for my basketball career and to be in the situations and be a part of some amazing teams with amazing players and amazing coaches throughout my career, not just college, professionally as well. And even having the opportunity to win a championship professionally. So the one thing I've always prided myself in as a coach, and you just said it, like, I'm not no guru. Like, I'm still learning. I talk about self-evaluation. We have had many talks where, like, yo, I need to get better at this as a coach. Like, I just suck at this. Like, you know what I mean? So, but I definitely pride myself in knowing what it takes to win, just having been there. And I know for me, that's what separates me from a lot of people, because unless you've experienced it for yourself and going through that grind, it's something that you just can't pull out of the air and say, this is how you do it. You could read it in a book, but you can't give the context of it if you haven't been through it. So I take pride on that as a coach. And that's what I try to give to my players. So yeah, man, that's what it is, man.
Yes,
winning, man.
Yeah.
And once you win, you want to experience it again and again and again and again. That's whatever you do in life, man. So
no question.
So you young players out there, man, if you want to grow, self-evaluate, man.
Always. Be
coaches, if you want to grow.
Be a forever
coaches,
learner.
If you want to grow, self-evaluate. Teams, if you want to grow, you want to win, self-evaluate. You want to win championships. Remember what we said. You got to go through adversity. You got to know your role. You know what I mean? You got to play for each other. You got to be on the same page. You got to sacrifice. Mm-hmm. You got to buy in. You got to let your ego go. And yeah, you got to have a little bit of luck. But you mix all that together, you can find some success.
Absolutely.
All right. So, yeah, man.
10th pod, man.
10th pod. It's crazy, man. From where we started, from doing the IG lives to like, yo, let's hop on live and just talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then that turned into, yo, we don't got enough time on the live. You keep cutting us out of yo, right. 3, 2, 1, you know what I mean? Right. Yo, you know. Yeah. So to me, I was excited about this. It's a blessing. I mean, and you got to take the small steps to get to the bigger picture. And for me, 10 episodes in, we've done more than 10 episodes worth, but we've got 10, episodes logged in, hours and hours upon footage. Looking forward to getting to 20 and 25 and 50. And as we grow, man, I'm loving where we going. I'm loving the support. I'm loving the feedback. Absolutely. I thank you for all you guys that have subscribed, who have liked the video, have shared it, who has put the word out, nice things, bad things, comments, whatever, man. We appreciate it all because it helps us get better, to give you the better contact, to provide you with the better knowledge. So we all can grow together.
Right. That's a fact, man. Just be on the lookout, man. Again, for all of those subscribers, you know, really thankful and appreciative. Please share that with your friends, man. And hopefully, you know, we can grow even more and touch even more people. Want to let y'all know merch is coming soon. So the Hoop Chat merch will be out soon. We're working on those things as well. But again, like we always say, man, DM us, DM the Hoop Chat 247. Because we want to know, we want to hear what topics we may not be covering that you might want to hear about. We want to know how we can be better. And we take all of those things into consideration because at the end of the day, we're trying to just continue to give you the best form of information that we can from our experiences in the game that we love the most. So,
right, pushing the game forward, man, like you said, you know. And again, remember, the most important thing is to inspire the next person to be great at whatever they choose to do.
Yes, sir. Peace.
We out here.
Welcome everybody to the Hoop Chat. The Hoop Chats. The Hoop Chat. Excited about this topic right here, dog. Let's go.
I learned how to win in college.
Process, right?
Absolutely. Separate the men from the boys. It will separate the real from the fake. It will separate the committed from the uncommitted, who really loves the game and who really don't.
Your network equals your net worth. 25 years of experience.
Oh, man, yeah, let's get to work. Let's get to work.